welcome to today's video, which is going to be my updated eyeshadow palette collection video. I did this video in December and I thought it'd be fun to do an updated version. As you can see, there is a giant pile of palettes happening here. I do have 88 eyeshadow palettes, which is definitely less than I had in December. And because of my low buy this year, I've only bought 4 palettes for the entire year, which for me is actually really good. Obviously I have a lot, but it is definitely my favorite makeup product, but I'm just happy to be working on just using my palettes, enjoying them. Like I said, eyeshadow is my favorite part of makeup. I like to have a wide variety of brands. And yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to do an updated eyeshadow palette collection. So there's a lot, let's just get started. I'm going to try to mostly separate this out by brand. First up is this one by Marc Jacobs. This is the only one that I have by Marc Jacobs, and it's the Glambition palette. Very neutral golds, browns, but actually this formula is very pigmented, and these are actually really nice eyeshadows. Another one I only have one from is Milani. This is the Soft and Sultry palette. I did also have the Bold Obsessions. I did declutter that one at some point, and then I did have another palette from Milani that I really did not like, but this one is beautiful. It is so cool toned, and as you will see, I don't have that many cool toned palettes, so I think this is great, and this formula is really nice. This is my newest palette from Sydney Grace and my first ever Sydney Grace purchase. This is the Radiant Reflection Light. I've only used it once, but so far this formula has really impressed me. And so far I'm a big fan. And then I only have one palette from Persona, and it is the Identity 2 palette. Again, this one is really good. And side note, so if you do want to hear more details about these palettes, obviously I have a lot. I'm going to have to go kind of quickly. I have an eyeshadow palette playlist where I have tons of videos ranking different eyeshadow palettes by brand, talking about my favorite affordable palettes, favorite luxury palettes. Check that playlist out for more information. This one though, I'm really a big fan of that. I've realized the Urban Decay ones, they're a bit scattered, so we're just gonna go with this one here, the Naked Honey. This palette, I have to say, really impressed me. I bought this on Black Friday last year for 50% off. It is beautiful, and this is one of the best formulations by Urban Decay that I've tried. I love warm tones, so I think this is a really beautiful palette. I only have one palette by Huda Beauty. This is the Rich Nudes, and it's actually really beautiful. I do like it. I think this formula is good, but it's not my personal favorite just because of the shimmers. Even with like glitter glue and a wet brush, I still get some fallout throughout the day, which is not my favorite, but I still do like it. I have one by MAC. This is the Burgundy x9 palette. Actually, I think this is really good. I still like the MAC eyeshadow formula. I do also have some single shadows from them, and as you will see, I will be showing my magnetic palettes as well. I have 88 palettes, including my magnetic palettes with some depotted and single eyeshadows, but I actually really like this. I think it's a good formula. One from Smashbox. I used to have another one too that I did declutter just because I wasn't really using it, but this is the Punked one. This is another one of my fewer cool toned palettes. This one is very purpley mauve. This formula is great. I don't hear much about it, but yeah, I have not used this one in a while, but it's very nice. I do have one Tom Ford quad, which I got on mega discount at a CCO. This one, what is this one called? Oh yeah, this one's called Nude Dip. This is actually very nice. It's crazy though that these cost $88 in my opinion. I think it's overpriced, but I got it at a pretty nice discount, I think for about $33, and I do think it's beautiful. I have one palette from Lawless. This is the mini one. This is something I got in PR last December. It's a very simple neutral palette. I mean, I do think this is nice. It's not like blowing me away, but I think if you just wanted like a simple neutral palette that doesn't take up a lot of space, actually, I do think that this one is quite good. Let's talk about some Juvia's Place palettes. I have a lot, and I've done a whole ranking my Juvia's palettes video if you do want to see that. This is the original Warrior palette, and this is just a gold neutral dream. I really love this one. This is one of my favorites by them. Another good one is the Nubian 2. This is one of their older palettes. Very beautiful colors. Again, this one's mostly warm neutral, but you have the pop of blue and pop of green. Really do like this one. This may be my favorite by Juvia's, the Magic Mini. I just think this color story is so unique to my collection. I love this like periwinkle shade, the pinks, the green. This one is really beautiful. Definitely my favorite by Juvia's. Another one, the Saharan. This one is really, really nice as well. Very gold, warm tone. There's a lot of golds in the Juvia's Place palettes though, FYI. I've just noticed that tends to be a big repeat. I have two of the minis by Juvia's, the violets. I did a review on this when it came out. Beautiful. That one's pretty unique to my collection, I think. And then the berries. This one is really, really nice. Definitely, I think this also is one of my favorites. And then one of their very neutral palettes is the Nubian. This one is very neutral, very simple, but this one is really, really good for everyday looks. I am a big fan of this as well. All right, let's talk about the Pat McGrath palettes. The Mini Sublime. This is beautiful. These are so metallic, so foiled. Absolutely love this one. The Mini Subversive is a more colorful version. Again, I mean, I am a big fan of the Pat McGrath formula. I think it is fantastic. These shades are beautiful. These mini palettes are $28. Well worth it, I think. Also a great way to try the brand for, you know, much lower price. I do have two of her larger palettes. I've got this. This is the Mothership 2, I think. Oh my gosh, now I'm forgetting. I really do like this one, and this green is absolutely amazing. Absolutely love it. Big fan. And then a newer one that I just bought a couple months ago, the Mothership 5. This is absolutely stunning. I am so happy that I bought this. The 4 kind of special shades over here, they're beautiful. Definitely well worth it. I am a big fan, and I just realized that I have one other Mothership palette with the 6 pans. It got buried over there somewhere, so I will get to that. I used to own more Anastasia palettes, but I have decluttered them over the years, but I still have these two, and I do like these two. Anastasia used to be my favorite formula, the sultry, very well-known palette, beautiful, cool tones. It's just not my favorite formula anymore. I still like it, but I would say at this point, my #1 formula is Natasha Denona, followed probably by BH Cosmetics and Pat McGrath. I would say those are my top 3 brands for eyeshadow now. I just don't like this formula as much, but this one is beautiful, and I really do like the colors in there. I have 2 Morphe palettes left in my collection. This is from the Vault collection. This is the Ring the Alarm. I like this one. I think it's really, really nice. I love warm tones, so I have kept that one around. And then the original Jaclyn Hill palette. I gotta say, I am not a big fan of large, bulky palettes like this, but this is very well formulated. I really do enjoy this palette. I've been using this one a lot lately. And yeah, this is one of the ones that I have had pan on. I have one palette from Estate Cosmetics. This is the Bailey Sarian collab. This is so beautiful. This is the only thing I've ever tried from this brand, but this formulation is amazing. These mattes and metallics are absolutely beautiful. Okay, I found my other Pat McGrath palette. This is the Golden Opulence. This one is really beautiful. This one just has metallics and mattes. This doesn't have any of her special shades, but I personally really still love her matte formula and metallic formula. So this is my favorite. This may actually be my favorite out of my Pat McGrath palettes. I am a big fan of this one. I really like it. Here's another one from Urban Decay, the Born to Run. I like this palette still. I think it's a great combo of a few pops of color, a lot of warm neutrals, very well formulated. I'm a big fan of this palette. Then we have, this is the only one I have from this brand. This is the Glam Light Caliente palette. This is an indie brand. This is a beautiful palette. This is one of my favorite colorful eyeshadow palettes in my collection. I really, really love these metallics. The mattes are a bit more thin, but they are beautiful, and I really love this color story. Let's talk a few from ColourPop. I used to have a lot more ColourPop palettes. Some of them I have depotted since they are magnetic. As you will see, I do have one magnetic palette here that is full of all depotted ColourPop shadows. This is the Sweet Talk palette. I like this one. I think it's really nice. I have removed the pressed glitters. I don't like the pressed glitters from ColourPop. I know that they are really hit or miss. Some people like them, some people don't. But yeah, not a fan personally. The Lilac You a Lot. This one is really beautiful. I like this one a lot. This one doesn't have any of the pressed glitters. Beautiful purple and lavender shades. Big fan of this one. And then the Mint to Be. I like this one too. It's just so monochromatic, and I'm not wearing mint eyeshadows on a daily basis. So, you know, I just don't get as much use out of this one, but it is a good palette. And the last ColourPop palette is the So Jaded. This is definitely my favorite. I love the colors in here. I love the formula. This is one of my favorite palettes in my collection. Urban Decay. Yeah, sorry the Urban Decay ones got scattered. The Stoned Vibes. This is a really cool palette. I think this is really, really unique. I can do entire looks with this palette, but how I love to use these are as topper shades. The sparkle in here is amazing, and I just love to just do a look with other palettes and then pop one of these in the center of the lid. And it's really amazing. I feel like this is one of the most unique palettes in my collection. Also, I mean, the packaging is absolutely beautiful. All right, let me show you my Ofra palettes. This is the only 5-pan one I have. This is the Signature palette in Galaxy. I like this. It doesn't blow me away. Honestly, though, this is their highlighter in Neptune, and I really do like that one. This one, let's see which one. This is the original Glitch palette. This one I really, really like. I think these are really, really nice shimmers. I'm a big fan of that one. And then these two, this was the Black Friday palette. This is one of the few like really gray smoky palettes I have in my collection, which is why I have kept this around, but I don't reach for those colors a whole lot. And then this is the Glamour Glitch. I like this one, not as much as the other ones. These are just kind of pretty standard colors that I have in other places in my collection. Let's go ahead and do the magnetic palettes since they're just sitting here. So this one is my ColourPop Single Shadows. I think these are really, really good. And honestly, I feel like a lot of these are a little bit better than what they have in their palettes. So yeah. Really do like this one. They have discontinued a lot of their singles though, unfortunately. This one, yeah, speaking of discontinued, this is mostly Coastal Scents Hot Pots. These few are MAC, and then a couple of these are Makeup Geek, but the majority of this palette is my neutral Coastal Scents Hot Pots with the pops of green. I like these. I think they're a good formula. It's too bad that Coastal Scents just shut down. This palette is one that I have room in. A few Sephora shadows. These are my 4 singles from Cleonad. These are their glitter multi-chromes. Those are amazing, and I really need to use those more. This palette is my Makeup Geek shadows. So these are their older shadows, obviously, and then the newer ones in the square pans. I have done a review on the newer Makeup Geek shadows. These are fantastic, I have to say. I mean, Makeup Geek is one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. I think it's really, really good, easy to blend, pigmented, easy to work with. Honestly, yeah, I'm gonna say Makeup Geek is one of my favorites formula-wise. Oh, by the way, these magnetic palettes are from Shop Miss A. These are so good. I've had some of these for years. I think the quality is really good, and they're way cheaper than Z palettes. Here we have Inglot shadows, and these are JD Glow. These are amazing. I love these by JD Glow. Those are really, really good. This is my colorful Coastal Scents palette. Like I said, I'm a big fan. I think this formula is really good. I don't depot shadows anymore, but these are some of the depotted eyeshadows that I still have in my collection. This here is the Menagerie Cosmetics Feral palette. That's a highlighter from Anastasia. This is an old Tarte palette. Honestly, I don't use this all that much, but I still really do like those. Okay, this is one that is ColourPop depotted ones. So we have, this was called like Rainbow something. This is another one of their palettes that I'm forgetting now too. And then these two are the Zodiac and Dream Street palettes. I really do like these eyeshadows. These are some of the older ones in my collection because yeah, Dream Street and Zodiac palette, those came out a while ago, but yeah, I am a big fan of that. And then last up for this magnetic palette, these are some kind of indie brands. So we've got Divina, M Cosmetics. These two I think are ColourPop that did not fit in the other ColourPop palette. This is my one single from Anastasia in pink champagne. And I just realized I have two other of these smaller magnetic palettes. These small ones are also from Shop Missy, and then these are actually singles from Shop Missy. So this one is called The Love Child. These are actually really nice. I mean, they're not like the most amazing eyeshadows, but I think they're really, really good. This one I bought myself, and then this one I got in PR. This one is called the Date Night palette. And yeah, they sell these individually on their website, and then they also sell these together as a bundle. Like I said, if you are in the market for magnetic palettes, the ones from Shop Missy would definitely be my recommendation. All right, we're making progress. This is the Viseart Boheme Dream. These are amazing. Absolutely beautiful metallic formula. I'm a huge fan. And then my other Viseart palette, this is the Warm Neutrals. Really nice. I am a big fan of the Viseart formula. I gotta say, these are the only two that I have by the brand, but it's very good. Let's talk Charlotte Tilbury. I have two quads. This one is the Bella Sophia. This one is really beautiful. I feel like this is like a really good everyday type quad. I like the Charlotte Tilbury formula. I think these are expensive though, $53 for 4 eyeshadows. And then this is the Rock Chick. This is very cool toned. Yeah, I mean, I don't use those that much. I tend to not reach for my really small palettes. This one I really love. This is the Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize. I think this is a fantastic palette. Really, really nice formula and beautiful colors. I have one palette from Tarte. This is the Tarte Toasted. I actually still like this. I mean, I'm not that into Tarte eyeshadows, but this is a really good, like simple, everyday warm neutral palette, so I do enjoy that one. One of my favorite palettes still is the Color Drain Queen of Hearts. This is a beautiful palette. This formula and the color story, really top notch. One of my favorites. I still have one palette from Lorac. This is the original Lorac Pro. I still like this, you know, I do. I think the mattes are really good. The shimmers, they're more shimmers. They're not like foiled metallic like a lot of brands nowadays, but it's a really nice everyday palette. Dominique Cosmetics Latte. This is a really good formula too, actually. Very simple, you know, neutral, but these metallics are quite foiled and I'm actually a pretty big fan. Let's do the dose of colors and then yeah, maybe then I should get into my Natasha Denona palettes. So here we have the Friendcation palette. This is a good one. It really is. It's too bad they discontinued that. And then I have 3 of these 5 pans, the Blushing Berries. I like these. These are powdery, but they're really easy to work with. The Baked Browns, very, very good. And the Marvelous Mauves. The Marvelous Mauves I really like. I think these are really nice colors. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the Dose of Colors formula. Oh, here's another ColourPop palette that got pushed over here, the Hocus Pocus palette. I think this one is good. It doesn't blow me away, honestly, as much as like the So Jaded palette. I don't know, ColourPop has become pretty hit or miss for me. But I really like these like jewel tones here. I think those are nice. And honestly, yes, I did mostly buy this because I absolutely love Hocus Pocus. I think I'm gonna just wait to do Natasha Denona at the end because those are definitely my favorite. I still have the original Chocolate Bar palette. This was my Pan That palette a couple years ago. I still like this, but I admit I have not used it in a while. This is one I'm partially keeping around for nostalgia, I know. Here is one from a newer indie brand. This is called What's Up Beauty. They did send this to me in PR a couple months ago. This is called the Desert Monsoon palette. This is beautiful. I have done a review on that. I really, really like it. I have one palette from Illamasqua. I got this in PR sometime last year. I have not used this in a while, but I mean, it is a nice palette. I have one palette from Zoeva that I did get in BoxyCharm back when I used to have BoxyCharm. This is the Cocoa Blend. I like this. This is a more, I would say, subtle formula. It's not super intensely pigmented, but it is easy to work with. Two more Urban Decay palettes, the Naked Reloaded. Actually, I'm a big fan of this. I think this is a great everyday palette, easy to work with. I know a lot of people didn't like that one, but I do like it. And another one that a lot of people didn't like is the Wired palette. Now, some of these shades are a little hard to work with, but some of these are so unique. And honestly, I really do love colorful eyeshadow. These are really, really fun, and I think these are pretty unique to my collection. Here's another fun, colorful palette I really love is the e.l.f. Retro Paradise. e.l.f. eyeshadows, in my opinion, are hit or miss, but I think this one is really good. They definitely need a wet brush as far as the metallics. There's so much fallout on those, but I think the shades in here are stunning. All right, we are getting there. So I've got a few from Sigma, BH Cosmetics, and then Natasha Denona at the end. I really like the Sigma formula too, actually. This is the Enchanted. This is really beautiful, like very ethereal. I don't have a lot of these colors in my collection, so I think this one is pretty unique. I also have the Untamed palette. I really enjoy this color story. The greens, the purples, very, very beautiful. I really, like I said, the mattes by Sigma are fantastic. The shimmers definitely need a wet brush, but I think it's a great formula. And then the warm neutrals. This is also another newer palette. I bought this one in May. This one is very, very like burgundy, and then also some, you know, warm browns over here, but this is a really nice one. You can do, you know, easy everyday looks, but also make it more dramatic too. All right, all we have left is BH Cosmetics and Natasha Denona, which are definitely two of my favorite brands for eyeshadow. This is the Royal Affair palette. They have discontinued this one, sadly, but I really enjoy the color story. I still think that's a great palette. This is a newer one I got last year. This is the Avocado Toast. This one is fantastic. I mean, the formula on this is beautiful. If you want green eyeshadows, but you want a bit of variety, it's not super monochromatic, which I like. Absolutely fantastic formula. And then also the Beautiful in Barcelona, just as good of a formula. Very different color story though. More cool toned, more smoky, a few blues, burgundy shades. Love it. This one of my favorite colorful palettes to date. And I've said before, I have a lot of nostalgia with this palette because this is the first palette that I did review on my YouTube channel over 3 years ago, but I still think this is very well formulated. This wasn't a recent Shop My Stash. I still like using this one. And then the last one I have from BH is the Sylvia Gani palette. Again, the formula on this is fantastic. I love the purples, the burgundies. I don't like the highlighters. They're really, really chunky, but the actual eyeshadows are amazing. All right, I did save my favorite for last, my Natasha Denona palettes. And if you want to hear more, check out my ranking my Natasha Denona palettes video. This is the mini Leela. I like it, I do. I just tend not to reach for mini palettes, but this duochrome is absolutely amazing. Some people didn't like this formula. Personally, I do think it's good. Another one that a lot of people didn't like is the Safari palette, but personally, I really love this one. This has some pretty unique shades in it. And other than, I think, like these two, like bluish greens there, I really have not had issues with this formula-wise and blending-wise. I think these are really nice, and I think it's a lovely matte palette. The gold palette, this is one of her most hyped up palettes, and honestly, when I first got it, I was not that impressed. However, the more I've used it, I do truly think these are really unique. This duochrome is amazing. This one here is so foiled. This is one of the most metallic looking shadows I've ever used. It is beautiful. I do have these two, which are so crazy expensive. These are her $239 palettes. So this is the purple and blue. This is a really good palette, but I've mentioned before that I just kind of regret spending this much on a palette I don't use that much. So, you know, that was kind of silly there, to be honest. The green brown one though, I do really like, and I actually think the formula on this one is a little bit better, and these are definitely colors I would wear much more often than the other one. So I definitely don't regret this one per se, but yeah, I mean, I just think with how good her $65 palettes are, which I have some in here, I just don't know that buying these is really that worth it. The Metropolis, this is still her only palette that she's done in this size. It's the same amount of eyeshadows. It's 28 pan like these, but the pans are smaller. I think this is great. I mean, especially for me, I have a lot of eyeshadows. I don't need huge pans of eyeshadow. This one is amazing. I think amazing formula, beautiful color story. I've used this one a lot. So yeah, for $129, I think that one is really, really worth it. And then I have 4 of the $65 palettes, which personally I think is the way to go with her brand. The bronze palette, this may be one of my favorite palettes in my entire collection, if not my #1 palette. Warm neutrals, I have to say, are my favorite. This is such a stunning palette. The formulation is top notch on this one. I am a big fan. Then I do have the Glam palette. This one is really, really good too. I would have liked to see a bit more depth in this palette. This shade on my eyes, it doesn't look as dark as it does in the pan, but that's really my only complaint with this palette. It's also very, very good. This one I have mentioned before, I don't think the formula is quite as good on the Sunrise. It's definitely not bad, but it's not as good as the other ones in my opinion, but I still love it. Beautiful shades, like these duochromes are so pretty. These like reds. It's a true Sunrise palette and I still really, really like it. And then last but not least, the Love palette. I love it. What can I say? I am a big fan of pink eyeshadow and purple eyeshadow. And yeah, I think this one is really, really good. This is one that I did get at the end of last year and it's fantastic. Alrighty, that is it for my updated palette collection. I do have a lot of palettes, but I'm very proud of myself. I've only bought 4 palettes for this entire year. I've just been enjoying, you know, what I have, and obviously I do have a lot, but yeah, formula-wise, I would say Natasha Denona, BH Cosmetics, Pat McGrath, Makeup Geek are definitely my favorite formulas. I'm definitely tempted to buy more Natasha Denona palettes, but I've been holding off. I didn't buy the Zendo, even though I thought it was beautiful, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I have a lot of great palettes here, so yeah, that is it. Let us know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more palette videos, check out the eyeshadow palette playlist, and have a great day.